Okay, so let's see, how many miles do I have on this bike here? Let's see if I can work this clock. It's pretty late. Odometer, I got 1,246 miles on this bike. 1,246 miles on this bike. That's quite a bit of miles for this bike. At about the 15,000 or 1,500 to 2,000 mile mark, you're probably gonna want to be putting more grease in these wheel hubs. I haven't done that yet. I haven't bothered to do that. Also around the 2,000 mile mark, you may have to replace the bottom bracket. Just come down here and jiggle it back and forth and see if it makes a lot of noise. It doesn't seem to be coming loose or anything right now, but those would be potential maintenance issues you'd have to deal with this bike. When I bought this bike, it was 160 bucks. I think it's now like 220 or something, somewhere around thereabouts. A few things might have changed, but I think the overall value hasn't really changed. So I guess prices have gone up because the market's gone up. I don't really know. For 160 bucks, I think it's a pretty good buy. I was looking for a bike under $200 when I bought this bike. I was actually looking for more like $150 because I was on a tighter budget than I am now, but I still live on a budget, of course. This bike got me back into cycling. As you can see, I got a mountain bike back there and a bunch of other bikes over here. So I love this bike for the fact that it got me back into cycling. If you're looking for a bike to get you into cycling because you've been out of the game for a while, like me, I hadn't cycled for a decade. This got me back into it as my first quote-unquote road bike. I never had the drop bars before. It's definitely a more aggressive riding style. Someone might who's never ridden a bike like this, they may very well not like it, so I'd recommend test riding some road bikes before you go and buy one like this, because some people prefer the more slanted top tube and more upright geometry, where you're not leaning so far over the front of the bike, which the only real reason for that on a road bike is you're decreasing your frontal area. That is, you're getting your stomach down and your head down, so you're more like a bullet flying through the air, and you're getting less drag from the wind. Although air drag isn't really that big of a deal if you're going under 20 miles an hour, let's say. So I frequently do ride my bike faster than that, so I do need the more aerodynamic advantage, but it's also my riding style. So a few points about this bike. Noise, I kept getting quite a bit of noise and trouble shifting on this bike. I kept having trouble shifting. Eventually I just sort of stopped shifting altogether, or I found a few gears that quietly shifted and I just stuck with them, and I generally always stayed on the middle chain ring here and somewhere in the middle on the back here. If you go to either extreme, like you go way on the far end over here, all the way to the right on the front chain ring, and then all the way to the left on the back, on the biggest ring on the back here, you get a lot of stress put on the bike, a lot of undue stress on the bike, and it does cause noises. You can limit that by actually turning the limit screws on your rear derailleur here, adjusting things so you can make it go back or forth. You can do the same thing on the front here with these limiting screws, move this derailleur thing back or forth to sort of push the chain from one another if it's not catching and jumping to the next thing, or it's grinding against something. You got metal on metal noise. Something's definitely not set up properly. So if you don't know how to do that, there's lots of great videos online about that, or take it to your local bike shop. They should be able to do it for you for a fee. Let's see, when assembling this bicycle, it may come to you, it came to me shipped with the fork here turned reverse. In other words, it was turned 180 degrees the other way just so they could package it. So if you turn your wheel and you find it bumping into your frame, it's because this thing's backwards. So just turn it around and you should be fine. It's not like a massive manufacturer defect. So in summary, this is a great starter bike, I think. I think it's good value. I think it's tremendous value to anyone who's really looking to get back into bicycling, and there's a caveat here, has quite a bit of patience. You're gonna have to have patience with this bicycle. You'll learn a lot. I learned a lot about bicycle maintenance with this bike. However, this bike does use older technology. It's got the cup and cone wheel hubs, this thing between the fork here, the wheel hub. It's got the old-fashioned adjustable cup and cone bottom bracket system. It's got the quill threaded type of stem and assembly up there in the front. What else? It's got the solid axles and the bolts. It's got the Schrader valves. Most bike pumps nowadays. Here's a little side note. Joe Blow. I love the Joe Blow bike pump. It's my favorite bike pump. It's got a gauge on the front. It's quite accurate. Most bike pumps have a Presta and a Schrader valve thingy, to be technical. So I got a nice water bottle cage on there too. So I think that just about does it. Like I said, you know, I would suggest a bike like this if you're getting back into cycling or you're not sure. That's how I was. I wasn't certain. Personal note, I'm a jogger. I jogged for quite a long while. I jogged so much that I started developing stress fractures in my legs, and so I needed to move to something that was a lower impact activity, and that's what got me back into cycling. I still run a lot, but I also cycle a lot. So this is a great starter bike for getting back into cycling. If you're a little more serious about getting back into bicycling, I would actually sort of suggest you step up a couple levels, maybe to the $400, $600, even to $700 range for a bicycle, because you can get a very nice set of wheels in that range. And you pretty much top out, if you're really into cycling, you pretty much top out in terms of quality of a bicycle around the $1,000 to maybe $1,500 US dollar range. But that's way beyond this bike. This bike has been great to me. I love this bike. I've gotten a lot out of it for the money. I've bought bikes that are quite a bit more expensive than this, and I haven't yet really ridden them a whole heck of a lot more than I've actually ridden this bike. I mean, I got thousands of miles on my other bikes, but on this bike in particular, you know, I've gotten a lot out of it. You know, I think 1,200 miles on this particular bike of this particular quality, and the crummy job I've done of maintaining it, I would say it's held up quite well. And I would recommend the GMC Denali. Thanks for watching. For more on my GMC Denali road bike, check out the link below and my website, bikeblogger.com.